Welcome to the Roasted Snow Horror Show,
where fear and dread go head to head.
Welcome to the show, where the screams collide, where blood runs cold, and the shadows hide. Each week a fight, two films will clash. Last week's champ, will it burn to ash? The Roasted Snow Horror Show, where fear and gore will always flow. One film wins, one must go. The Roasted Snow Horror Show. Lights go down, the fight begins. Which nightmare takes the final win? You pick your side, we'll break it down. The Roasted Snow, the goriest showdown.
and here are your hosts.
Chris and Ryan.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back, I should say, to the Roasted Snow Horror Show. I am your host, Ryan Rosted. Everybody thinks my last name is Roasted. With me is, you already know, he's the second Tyrannosaurus. He's the Viagra pill with the face. He is a little bit questionable when it comes to ranking ghost faces, but we love him anyway. Chris Snow, what's up, man?
How you doing, buddy? How are you on
doing-
this fine Sunday?
I'm doing great. I feel like I haven't seen you in a week. Which,
It's been a minute. We took a little bit of time off after an amazing week of Ghostface / Scream
Yep.
conversations.
Since we've had about a week since we saw that movie and we did the live stream, do you have any other thoughts on it? Do you have any? You slept on it, and let's
I
just.
mean,
hear
I
it.
got to be frank, man. The first two acts are great, and the third act just shits the bed. The reveals
Yep.
were stupid. Didn't like it.
Yep, that's where I land on it too. But Scream 8 is already in the works, and there's
Stick
still
the landing, for God's sake.
there's still hope. There's still Stu hope. There is. It's out there. It's out there. It's Hawkeye going. Don't do that. Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope, man. Don't give me hope.
Don't give me hope like that.
Yeah,
I
so
rewatched
we-
Scream 1 last week. He's definitely dead.
No,
100%
he's
dead.
not. No,
He's
no.
so dead.
Mm-mm. The first video that pops up is different than the other ones that were the AI ones. So, neither here nor there. I guess we got to wait a couple years, but it's killing it at the box office. It's going
It is
absolutely
crushing.
crazy.
The Ice Nine Kills song shot to #1 on the Billboard charts, by the way, which is fantastic. That was a great track. We got a great track out of the movie.
We did, and we got, like you said, first two acts are absolutely awesome. And I thought about it. I'm like, at some point, it'll probably be near Halloween. We'll probably do a top 5, top 10 kills of the year, and that one probably has 2 in there.
Guaranteed.
For sure.
Guaranteed.
One for sure. One absolutely will be at the top. It just depends on what else comes out. So you guys know, we are getting back to our normal 2 episodes a week thing. Like tonight, for instance, Chris had a great idea. He just sent me a text a few days ago and said, I think we've waited long enough. We need to dive into the Conjuring. And I said, hell yeah, let's do it. So that's where we're at tonight. This Friday, we are getting back to our new releases with dun, 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 dun. Here Comes the Bride. It's the bride. It's not the Bride of Frankenstein, just the bride. So we will dig into our thoughts on that on Friday. So tune in for that one. But I did think about it. We did the live stream with Scream, and we didn't actually do what we always do on this show. And that is, does it beat out 28? Does it beat out Big Dick Alpha for you?
Hell no.
And it's not
There's
beating my boy
no
Ben.
way in
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I just go listen to the Scream episode, guys. Go give it a watch. The live stream was fun. We got to interact with a couple fans that jumped in there. Justin, we're talking to you, buddy. But I mean, just shit show. Third act didn't stick the landing. That's all I'm going to say about it. Hell no, it does not take away from 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Not happening.
Hell yeah. And then my boy Ben still going strong. That one's been going strong for
A minute now.
Christ. Yeah, it's been going on for a bit. So we'll see.
That movie's already streaming. I might need to check it out again.
I know. Yeah, I got to show it to Katie and see what she thinks, especially in the first 5 minutes there. But
by the way, as you do, I meant to comment on your Facebook wall the other day. Your daughter go to see a movie, you always add something that she should so not be watching. And it's like, Daddy and Daughter Day, we're watching Scream at the South. I'm like, oh wait,
yeah. So we went to go see Hoppers, and her and I we get there a little early, and our kind of tradition, our ritual is before the movie, we go get our popcorn, we put it down in our seats, and then she and I just love walking the halls and looking at the posters of the movies coming up. Obviously there's some that are not for her. There's like we went by this big Ready or Not 2, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's in a couple weeks. We're covering that. And funny story, actually, because we were walking past in one of the hallways and they had the door still open, but it was the opening scene of Scream 7. And so we could hear it clear as day. And there's like, whoa, it's a motion detector. And I'm just like trying to pop in. She's like, can we go in? I'm like, I should say no. I don't want to, but yeah. So she's like, is that a scary one? I was like, yeah, you want to go in? She's like, no. So she answered it for me. But yes, I do that, and then usually I get a text or two that's like, did you really go let her watch Scream 7? I'm not a monster. We're only on Scream 3 at home. She wouldn't know what's going on. So Roman Bridger's coming, Mr. Goat Ghostface on my end, I guess. But needless to say, the Ghostface reveals in this movie are they would have been knocked out round one
easily
for that. So anyway, down to business here. We're getting into a series that you and I both love. You know my love for James Wan and how this was a project of his, and he was on fire for a while because he was doing the Saw thing. He did Conjuring. He was doing Insidious, or Lee Winnell was doing Insidious. So what was your original? Did you know a lot about the Conjuring going into the first one? Had you watched the trailers? What was your
nothing at all? I remember specifically. I think I may have mentioned this on a previous episode, but I was living in Denver just for 2 weeks. I was living out of a hotel room because I was doing training for the job. I had just graduated college. I was getting ready to go into an executive role, and I just spent 2 weeks down here in business college for that company. So I was literally living out of a hotel room. I had no money to do anything because I spent all my money moving from my college town to the town I was going to be working in, and then shooting down here to Denver. So I remember I had brought my old PlayStation 2 down, and I was playing Kingdom Hearts or something, and I was just looking on my phone like, what movies out this week? Like, what can I go see? And there were 2 movies that were super hot. One was The Wolverine, where Hugh Jackman goes to Japan. The other was The Conjuring. And I was like, well, of course I'm going to go see both of those. So went and saw The Wolverine, made it a double feature, walked right into The Conjuring right after that. And I remember going in pretty much completely blind. I was like, I have no idea what this is about. I thought it was going to be about like the Amityville horror, because that's the vibes I kind of got from the trailer. But no, walked in blind and was totally blown away. I was like, this is horror done right. It's not a gore fest. They're not just trying to gross you out with, a bunch of blood and guts and all those pieces, but it's the atmosphere's tense. The buildup is good. The climax pays off. The resolution of the film is good. And you can tell that like, hey, this functions as both a standalone, and if they want to make sequels, they can do that. And thankfully, we got those sequels. We get to talk about them all tonight. So, I walked away super impressed. I will never forget being a little creeped out, being in an unfamiliar hotel room that night, and thinking I see a lot of faces outside the window or standing in the hallway. But it was a blast. I remember.
No one.
I actually went. It was actually the theater. You probably know. Belmar was just then up and coming. So they have that one theater over there. It wasn't built out yet. It was like flat industrial. And then they had like 7 or 8 buildings already up and running. And one of them was the theater.
So our guy, Mike, that we always talk about, because I actually lived over in Belmar for quite a bit. So I went to that theater a lot. It was a Century 16. And
yep.
We actually were supposed to go to the Dark Knight Rises at the Century 16 in Aurora. That unfortunately, if you guys know, unfortunately was the attack of a mass shooting. But it's one that we would always go to midnight showings. We had tickets for it, and we decided that we literally had dinner down there, and we ended up pulling an audible and going to the Century 16 in Belmar. And never forget walking out of Batman or Dark Knight Rises and seeing a bunch of texts, and it's like, wow, how big is this thing? And it turned out to be pretty big. So very, very grateful that we that we pulled that audible. But yeah, I know exactly what theater you're talking about. I saw a lot of movies there as well. And it's funny that you say that, it did work as a standalone, because if you're new to this series and like, oh, hey, the only streaming service I have only has, Conjuring 2, you can pop into that and, because they are pretty much standalone movies. There are a couple aspects that go from movie
anthologies
to movie.
Almost.
Yeah. Because it is dealing with the real life cases of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Well, I'm sure we'll dip into a little bit of their history here, but my experience with it was I'd seen the trailer and it looked pretty creepy. And I was like, all right, I'm down with this. Let's go. And I remember walking to the theater, and it's kind of funny looking back on it, because we did the episode on PG-13 horror movies, and you had this originally on your list.
I thought for sure it was a PG-13 film.
Well, because there isn't much gore and there's not cussing galore or anything. But I remember walking up there and the guy was saying, he was telling somebody before, because they were checking IDs, and there's like, is it really that gory? And he goes, it is rated R just for the scares. And I was like,
horror. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now my expectations are sky high. I'm waiting in the popcorn line. I'm like, this is going to be a letdown. And I was blown away on how creepy it was. And each movie after did something new. And obviously we'll get into what we like better, which movies we like better than the others. And we are, because it did come up, because this did spawn a Conjuring universe, with a cinematic universe with the Annabelle series, the Nun series.
The Nun, La Llorona.
Yep. La Llorona, which we will dip into next week. This can be kind of a 2-weeker, and that one will have more head-to-head matchups. Since this one's only 4 movies, we'll rank them at the end here. But so stay tuned for that, and then God help us after that. So 3 weeks from now, we're going to do the most extreme horror movies.
We're going back,
round
baby.
2.
I can't wait.
Round 2 there.
Part two.
All right, guys. This one's probably gonna be pretty spoiler heavy. Not sure exactly what we're going to talk about with the movies, but what we liked, what we didn't. But if you guys have not checked out the Conjuring series, it is peak modern horror, for sure. Which is odd, because it takes place in the 60s and the 70s. And they do that aesthetic very well. So if you guys have not seen them and want to see them, please turn us off, go watch them, come back, and let's get into it, man. The OG Conjuring 1. And I gotta tell you, this starts off with boom, the face of Annabelle.
you gotta love. I mean, and by the way, may I say, what a misdirect, because you see this creepy doll, and the film has almost nothing to do with it, at least right now. I mean, we kick off into the universe and all those pieces, but we're jumped right into it. And just kind of a quick spoiler free, if again, to Ryan's point, if you guys haven't seen it, definitely jump off and go watch it. Was 2013, I believe. So it's been 13 years. Definitely worth a watch, definitely worth checking out. But the overall kind of like I said, spoiler-free reviews. We have our 2 demonologists, Ed and Lorraine Warren, who operated throughout the 60s and the 70s. Again, this is all based on a true story. And in this case, they have been, I should say, summoned in 1971 to a farmhouse, and I believe it was Rhode Island, where new couple, I think their names were Roger and Carolyn, have moved into a new house with their five daughters.
Perron family?
Perron, yeah. 5 daughters, so they are no strangers to chaos. I mean, you have 2 daughters, and you know it can get out of hand.
That's a horror movie in its own.
Good on them. God bless them.
Yep.
But ultimately, they discover a boarded up cellar in the house, and paranormal events start occurring within these first few nights in the house, and they get progressively worse. They get a hold of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who determine that there is potential possession going on here. But the Warrens are not. Ed is not an ordained minister. That said, part of the history of the Warrens is he is the only clergy member of the Catholic Church who was ordained to do exorcisms, which is kind of a cool little nugget of truth, nugget of info in there. But they go on to have a paranormal encounter with a possible demon, and all the things that come along with it. So without further ado, the spoiler heavy version starts now. And Annabelle, who you need to insert a picture of right here.
Yep. Oh,
you guys can see exactly how crazy and how scary this doll is, who certainly was possessed as well.
And I'm with you there on the misdirect, because obviously I'd seen the trailer and I'm like, okay, it's this possessed family, and then boom, there's this creepy ass doll in the very first shot of the movie, and they go into this backstory, and right away you're hooked, because it's I believe it's a couple nursing students that
Debbie and Katie.
Yeah, I think so, and they're talking to the Warrens about their doll Annabelle, and how they started getting like these notes, and basically this spirit, this demon, took a hold of Annabelle and played on their conscience and said, like, I'm this little girl, I died here, can I communicate with you, can I enter into the doll? And they gave her permission. And it's like, if you know anything about demons and demonology, and if you've seen any horror movie ever, you never say yes. It just doesn't happen. You don't do it. And then roll credits, this movie's over. So is their career.
Also, don't play with Ouija boards, but we'll get into that later.
Well, definitely we'll get into that. But the dread that goes on here, and just how creepy it is, like the knocking on the door, and it's like, is it really this doll that's doing it? Long story short, the Warrens say that they're going to take the doll, which me and the audience is like, the fuck are they doing? And it gets worse from there, because they have a basement of demonic goodies. It is like the most fucked up Toys R Us you'll ever be at. It's
like a Smithsonian of paranormal.
They have a priest come and bless it like once a month or bi-weekly or whatever, and they lock up Annabelle in this glass case that says, do not ever open. And from there on, you think that's going to have a major part to do with the movie. Largely goes unnoticed until the third act. And this is where you start meeting the Perron family. They're moving into this new house, and all these movies, they basically have this montage of like the happy family, they're doing their thing, and like the dad's all, like they got this beautiful
new job,
and this great house, and as most horror movies do, and they cut back to Ed and Lorraine Warren here too. They're given a lecture about demonology and kind of what they've seen. And there's this clip that they're showing where Elaine is basically trying to get a demon out of this guy. His name is Frenchie, I think. I think that's his name. Comes into play in a different movie, but we'll get into that later. We'll get into that a little bit more next week. But basically, they do this. They're a traveling roadshow. They talk to universities and this and that, and they were talking about the Annabelle doll as well, and how and kind of what they do with it, this and that. But then the Perron family starts, like you said, slow and steady, and it's a very unfortunate start here for and I hate it when a movie does this for our little Poochie friend there. Doesn't really go well for our guy there.
Poor dog, who by the way sticks in my mind that the dog did not want to enter the house. If you remember, it was kind of the one thing. They're moving in. It's the happy start. Everything's happy, and that dog was just like, I don't want to go in this house.
He's like, fuck that. He was Indy in Good Boy before Indy. So
yeah, exactly.
So the dog is basically luckily killed off screen. The mom of the house, basically screams bloody murder. The dad has to go bury the dog, and the kids are obviously very upset. And I don't know, if it were me and I just moved into a new house and my family dog died the next day or 2 days, however long it was, I'd probably have some second thoughts.
Well, and not to mention all the weird shit that was happening to the poor mom, who was kind of the focus of all the bad stuff that's happening, because this poor woman, she's like waking up every morning. She has bruises on her, like her arm's bruised. She has bruises on her torso. It looks like she's been beat to hell. The clocks every night are stopping at 3:07 a.m. and just freezing there. I mean, that enough for me. If I wake up at 6 a.m. getting ready to go to work and I just notice all my clocks stopped at 3:07. Yeah, I might not come back that night. I grab my cats and be like, I need a pet-friendly hotel, please.
My daughters will wake up randomly, like anytime between 30 and 3:30. I'm always like, all right, what the fuck's going on? Where's this demon at? Because it's always the 2:30, 3 o'clock, and in this case, it's 3:07.
The witching hour.
Yeah, in Weapons, it was 2:17 randomly. Yep. So there's a history here in movies, and obviously, if you're a horror vet, you know that those are not great times. So yeah, the mystery's already being put into motion here. Like, why is this happening at 307? And then this leads to the first major kind of tense scene that will always stick out in my mind the first time seeing it in theaters. But as you're saying, yep, the poor mom. She's playing hide and clap. She hears from one of her girls, and they have this earlier. And it's like basically it's hide and seek, but you have
to clap 5 times. Like,
yeah, it's like if I'm looking, I'm like, hey, okay, one clap, and then Chris would clap, and that's how you try and find them. They can move around with this. So they start doing the hide and clap. She goes upstairs, and this part, it still sticks out in my mind. There is it's like an old school stand-up wardrobe. And she goes, okay, I'm ready for the next clap. And you just see these 2 ghostly, pale hands come out, and it's just very soft. Yep. Clap, clap.
Oh, I know where you're hiding. Give me the 3rd clap.
And from there, it's so tense because you don't see anything. You just saw those hands. And then what's famous from the from the movie itself is when she goes down to the cellar, and she has one little match, and it keeps going out, so she keeps lighting a new one, and then you hear a voice go, "Want to play hide and clap?" And then the hands behind her.
Hey, want to play hide and clap?
And then
out of the dark.
Mm-hmm. So creepy. And I have it in the intro that's the clap happens, because that's just it's peak horror right there, and you're like, all right, that's what we're getting into with this. That's terrifying. And I guess you want to take it over on how they meet our Warrens.
Absolutely. So Carolyn, who's the mother, her and her daughter Christine, they both do encounter that malevolent spirit. So their stories are kind of corroborated. They've both encountered this. So Carolyn, the mother, decides she's going to contact the Warrens, who they conduct an initial investigation. I should also mention that one of the things that the Warrens do, they certainly believe in, the haunted artifacts and demonic possession and all those pieces. But to their credit, they also like to discredit and make sure that there's no rational explanation for all these things. So to your point about the Annabelle doll, one of the things that they told the girls when they took it, they said, hey, the doll itself isn't possessed, but it is like the doll is acting as like a conduit to a spirit, and that spirit's goal was to possess the 2 nursing students. So they kind of approached the family kind of in the same way, like, hey, we're here, we believe you, we want to kind of see what's going on. Lorraine also functions as a clairvoyant. She can kind of see things that no one else can see and sense things that no one else can see. And as she approaches the house, and she's kind of looking outside, she's kind of just walking around, getting a sense of the place. She finds out, and she sees that a dark entity that she can't really place has latched on to this family in this house. And most times when we were even saying earlier, if you're experiencing this in a house, your first instinct would be to leave. Let's just get out of here. Let's get away. Let's get back to the old house. We talked about it when we talked about Sinister, right? Like the first thing you want to do is leave the house where the things are happening. But in this case, similar to Sinister, the dark entity was not going to leave them alone, even if they just left the house, because it has latched onto them at this point. So what they do is to gather evidence, they place cameras. They have a whole bunch of riggings, like bells and weights and things that'll, immediately make the camera flash if something were to come into the room, or the temperature were to change, things like that. So they place all these things around the house. They have an assistant named Drew who's helping them out. There's a police officer who's helped him out. His name's Brad. And, what they do is they dig into the history of the house. That's going to kind of tell them, what has gone on here in the past. And they do find out that the house once belonged. And remember, this is in Rhode Island. So a lot of these houses have been around for 200 years, 250 years. They find out that the house belonged to an accused, not proven, an accused witch and Satanist named Bathsheba Sherman.
Allegedly.
Alleged. And alleged is the key thing here. And to go further, Bathsheba Sherman is a long lost relative, or I shouldn't say long lost, is a descendant of one. I believe that her name was Mary Easty.
Mary Shaw.
Mary Shaw. the most important thing about her was that
she had no
was,
children, only dolls. I'm fucking.
There you go. But she was accused during the Salem witch trials in Massachusetts. So, and again, not proven, right? If you guys are familiar with the history of the Salem witch trials, it was in every sense of the word a witch hunt, in which a lot of poor women and men lost their lives for no good reason at all. But all that to say, this Mary Shaw actually did sacrifice her week-old baby to the devil and kill. Excuse me, I said Bathsheba. I was talking about Mary. Bathsheba Sherman sacrificed her week-old brand new baby to the devil and killed herself in 1863. So, almost 100 years earlier, right at 3:07 in the morning, ironically, when all the clocks are stopping. So she did it after cursing all the people who were going to take her land. They're going to come take her land. They're going to take her house. So she did all this, sacrificed the baby to the devil, and cursed all the people that would do it. And as soon as she did that, she hanged herself in the tree in the front yard. So pretty dark history of the house. And ever since then, they do realize that there have been reports of numerous murders and suicides through the years in all kinds of the houses that were built on the land that Mary Shaw owned, or excuse me, that Bathsheba owned. So a lot's going on, a lot of history to the house. And unfortunately, Bathsheba does completely possess Carolyn. She completely takes her over. And the seller, Lorraine, the clairvoyant, Lorraine Warren, does see the spirit of a woman who Bathsheba had possessed a long time ago and forced to kill her child. And she realizes that Carolyn, in the same vein, is going to do the exact same thing. So Carolyn becomes feral and demonic, and she starts chasing after her kid to kill it. So at this point, the Warrens are like, okay, there's enough here. We need to go to the diocese. We need to go to the Catholic Church. We need to beg for an exorcism here because we do believe there's demonic possession. So they take their evidence to receive authorization from the church to perform an exorcism. But Father Gordon, the local diocese, he says, hey guys, unfortunately, I can't give you approval to do this exorcism. That approval has to come directly from the Vatican. And the reason is because the Perron family aren't members of the church. They're not religious. So, those religious, steadfast, clearly aren't that interested in helping people decide that they're not going to perform the exorcism because the people aren't members of the church. And I'll let you take over at this point. Well,
and I want to get into just a couple of the other creepy aspects. Like you mentioned the tree that she was hung from. A lot of sinister parallels there. I mean, you had the tree in that one. And this one, and it just goes to show what the Conjuring series does. There's so many subtle scares because this isn't like a big loud noise gets you, but Ed is talking to Lorraine, and Lorraine is very distracted on something that's behind Ed, and they show Ed, and there's nothing there. What? Yeah, and then it goes back, no music, no nothing, no, and it's just you see 2 feet, 2 deadly feet hanging just right behind him. Whatever it is with Patrick Wilson and shit being behind him in these movies.
This poor bastard.
Yeah. He gets feet. He gets the lipstick demon. He gets, just never turn around, Patrick Wilson. You'll be fine. And just don't worry about what people are seeing behind you. But, she keeps it cool. It's all good. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They, and with Ed and Lorraine Warren, why they're so interesting is because while they do believe, obviously, they're in this line of work, there's so many cases out there that they're hoaxes, and they're or there's a very logical explanation for it, which they're very upfront and honest about. They're like, we're going to look at this from all angles. So yeah, they go to the church. They do not get approval for it. Then there's so much shit that happens here at the end.
Hell of a climax.
Hell of a climax. Basically they end up getting the family out of the house, which you did not, isn't going to help.
Well, there's something important before we get there, though. If you remember, all the way back at the Warrens' house, their daughter Judy, daughter Judy, is attacked by Bathsheba as a warning.
And takes the form of our old buddy Annabelle in that. And that's another really neat chase scene because, and the thing about these movies, and they dive into it a little bit, but each one that I see, I go, do they never spend any fucking time with their daughter?
100%. I always think about that. And then I remember, like, okay, these movies are a microcosm of the entire life they live. So I'm sure they do plenty of fun stuff with her. At least I have to tell myself.
Yeah, but like each movie until the most recent one, she is not a very big factor. There's one spinoff that she is. Yeah, I was just like, so you're leaving her home alone, and I forget if she had a babysitter or not. She's like what, 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah, she's kind of on the brink.
Yeah, but you're leaving her in this house with all the demonic shit downstairs. Yeah. So, granted, she's a good kid. At least for now, she doesn't go in there. But Annabelle, it's a warning. Lorraine sees this. She's clairvoyant. They realize they got to stop this shit quick, fast, and in a hurry because it's not only going after the Perron family, it's going after Judy now. And so you're right. I don't know why I missed that. It's like, it has been a while since I watched this movie, so forgive me on this. Yeah. Actually, for a lot of these movies, I might miss just some details on it, but the basic gist of it you get. But yeah, so they end up getting everybody out of there. They go to the hotel, and they leave the mom there, I believe.
With the young daughter.
Yes. Turns out they find out that ain't going to help it.
Just like Lorraine said, that you could run from the house, but the entity is attached to you. So wherever you go, it's going to follow.
Yep. And there's a pretty neat scene there in the hotel. And then they all rush back out to the house. And then,
because Carolyn has taken Christine and April, her youngest children, and whisked them away back to the house.
Yep. And they're not going to go have a tea party.
No. Remember, Carolyn is fully possessed by Bathsheba at this point.
Yep. And so it's not going to go well for the daughters. They a big rescue mission ensues. They end up going to the house and they end up being able to subdue Bathsheba. They are Carolyn. The body of Bathsheba. And this is where Ed is like, fuck it, I'll do it. Fuck it, I'll do it live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. He's just like, you know what? Fuck the Vatican. I got this.
So he attempts the exorcism.
Badass moment. And the thing these movies also do really well is in the climax of these movies, they got the wind going, they got the lightning going, they got it's a levitating chair, and it really does freak you out. It's like, it is an intense experience, even though it's not super in your face gory or even that jump scary, but he is able to succeed with the exorcism, because he is
it takes a little bit though.
It takes a while.
Breaks out of the chair. And then they're in the cellar at this point. Carolyn breaks out of the chair. She actually chases her daughter April into like what would we call it? Like the foundation of the house almost, like in between the walls and all that stuff. She's chasing this poor girl around and she's just like seconds away from grabbing her and killing her. But Lorraine, the clairvoyant, is able to get through Bathsheba and get to Carolyn, who's in there somewhere, right? And just reminds her of a family memory, which is, she kind of just touches her. And that gives Ed enough time to actually complete the exorcism, which condemns Bathsheba back to hell and brings Carolyn back.
I condemn you back to hell. It's so
back
badass.
To hell.
So badass. Yep. And obviously the family is probably going to have to go through some therapy at this point, but
especially those kids.
Yep. But they are together. They are. And what I don't typically like in a horror movie is an ultra happy ending, but a lot of these movies kind of have an ultra happy ending.
They do.
And
the demon's condemned back. It's not left ambiguous. Like we both said, right? It kind of functions as a standalone thing, but leaves plenty of room for the future for sequels, which they of course made.
Well, and the last shot of this is they're going through. It's kind of a slow zoom in on Annabelle back in their because
Ed brings the music box from the parent home back and puts it in the demon room.
Yep. And there's some title cards that go on and say, you know, like Ed and Lorraine had this many cases, blah blah blah. And so at this point, I'm thinking there's gonna be this huge jump scare, like Annabelle's gonna move or something. Nope, it ends. Which normally I'd be pretty pissed about, but I was like, you know what? That it's perfect. It is a great start, and there's a reason why this spawned an entire franchise and cinematic universe. Because this is damn near as perfect a horror movie as you can get, in my opinion.
Really is. They did everything right. There's nothing wrong. I mean, with the first one particularly, there's just nothing about it that doesn't hit a beat. All of it works.
Mm-hmm. And then we get Conjuring 2, and I remember seeing the trailer, and I believe it was the second trailer, the final trailer, that introduced the nun. And I was like,
Yes.
Holy fuck, that is one of the most scary visuals I've ever seen in my life.
Mom. Who's that?
There's something to me that just terrifies me, that it's instant scare for me. And that's when at the end of a long hallway, there's some presence that's just staring right at you, right at the camera, right at you. Something about that scares the piss out of me. And we talked about it when we talked about scary scary stories to tell in the dark, when the pale lady at that long hallway is walking towards our guy. It's terrifying to me.
Well, and I put that in our intro too. It's where Judy's like, "Mom, who's that?" And then it shows the nun down there, and they showed that in the trailer. And usually I hate it when they do that, but I was like, "Oh my god, is this really going to be a good sequel?" Because you guys are horror fans, you know, sequels usually miss the mark.
Often,
but here we go, Conjuring 2. And this one, and it's funny because at the very end of the Conjuring 1, they get a phone call and they're like, "Oh, they want to take us to take a case in Long Island, New York." And if you're horror fans, you know, that's where Amityville
what happened
is.
in Long Island, New York? Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Mr. Ronnie DeFeo.
Yep, Mr. DeFeo, Ryan Reynolds. Yep, no, actually, he didn't play DeFeo. Sorry,
No, he was Mr. Lutz.
Yeah. So obviously the Amityville stuff has been done to death, but in real life they did have a say in the Amityville case. I don't think it was nearly played up as much as it was in the movie, but
no,
neither here nor there.
And the reason being, if you guys are familiar with that case, Ronnie DeFeo Jr. the next day admitted to killing his family, and you know, part of his defense was like, "I think I was possessed," but to Ryan's point, like it was played up much more than it really was.
Yeah, and that house, you know, but I love anything Amityville. I love how creepy that house is, and so this movie starts out in Amityville. They're having a seance of sorts, trying to communicate with DeFeo and find out what happened, or not DeFeo, but the kids in the house, trying to find out what happened, and basically, Elaine. She kind of Lorraine, not Elaine, whatever. Mrs. Warren.
Mrs. Warren.
She kind of has an out-of-body experience, much like being in the Further, like in Insidious. And she starts walking through the house as like she is Ronnie DeFeo. And there's like quick jumps of bang, bang, bang. And it's like, already I'm into this. And I've read in the recent past that people weren't crazy about this scene. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? I love this scene. This is great.
It's fine.
So she goes through and she's like, okay, you know, was he possessed? This and that. There's really creepy stuff. And this is where she meets our guy. I'm not going to say his name right away because that'll be later, but the nun does a jump scare. I believe that they're in the attic. And she, the nun kind of grabs her and she freaks out. She comes back to earth. She's like, that's as close to hell as I ever want to get. And then
she sees something that really just shocks her, you know, and she's seen a lot of things. So, you know, it's got to be pretty serious that it really gets to her.
Yeah. She just completely loses it at the table. And then this is, I believe, where the credits come in, and they're like, you know, this case is it takes place in England. It's the Enfield poltergeist, which I knew nothing about going into it. I was just going to see it because it's a Conjuring movie. I will just tell you guys, to this day, this is one of the movies that in Halloween time, I will talk to my wife, Katie, and be like, hey, why don't we put on Conjuring 2? And she goes, fuck that. And for all the best reasons. we start meeting over across the pond, and they do the very cliche, you know, we're in England now, can't you tell? Here's Big Ben.
Look at all the
Here's
flats.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and they, you know, they're playing that song, and so you meet this family. It's a single mother, and she's got a fuck ton of kids too. Like, I don't know what it is with these guys and a fuck ton of kids, but obviously she's kind of running into some money troubles, but overall it seems like a pretty happy family.
I was about to say it was much easier to raise 4 kids back then and cheaper, but not for everybody, I guess.
Yeah. She, you know, you slowly get to meet some of these kids. They obviously they're on their own, and you start getting little bits and pieces of because James Wan is great at this and showing you little things, and you don't know if it's going to come into play later. Like one kid has a little toy. It's like a little lantern type thing, and it's
one of those ones where if you just turn it really fast, there's a bunch of illustrations on the inside, and if you turn it really fast, it looks like it's animated. You guys know exactly what we're talking about. We used to do it with little paper books. Remember, you'd go just
except
like
for this one doesn't have like a little horsey in it. This one has our guy, the Crooked Man.
And I'm going to say on that note, because this is almost, I don't want to call it a misdirect, but you almost want the Crooked Man himself to have a little bit more of an effect in the movie, but we'll get to that a little bit later. I was more scared of the Crooked Man and the nursery rhyme. It's a nursery rhyme that goes along with the Crooked Man. And that by itself scares me so much more than like a paranormal, because I have the rhyme right here. I'm just going to read it out. There was a crooked man and he went a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence against a crooked style. He bought a crooked cat which caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a little crooked house.
Yeah, that'll make me sleep tonight. Thanks.
With the Crooked Man animation, it's terrifying. Why are they showing this to kids?
Yeah, and with that, there's another kid has, like, I think it's like a remote controlled fire truck type thing. Like and they have this creepy ass fucking teepee that's right above the stairs. I don't know why they have this in the house. I guess it's fun for the kids to play in, but I'm like, fuck, that's coming into play.
Yep, and of course, because all kids have one of these, they have a Ouija board.
Of course, yep. The good old, as our buddy Mike calls it, or we think he would call it, the Ouija board.
The Ouija. The Ouija. What's an Ouija board?
So yeah, you start getting kind of a sense of like, all right, what are we in for in this one? We saw the first one, and they bounce back and forth a little bit to what the Warrens are doing, and the Warrens they're on a talk show, and you know, with a skeptic that's on there, and it's just like, come on, like this isn't real. Like the DeFeo house, I think they even said he admitted, and then you know, Ed gets very defensive about Lorraine, and so they kind of show that yes, they do believe that, you know, people know that they're skeptics and this and that. And so things start slowly happening between the two storylines here. And I can't remember what happens first, but I'm going to jump around. So stop me if I get this wrong, but I got to get into this scene because,
well, we should say that Janet, the one that was playing with the Ouija board,
Janet,
starts sleepwalking and talking to a paranormal entity of an angry elderly man, kind of like the Crooked Man.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not in. This isn't your house. This isn't your house. And she keeps staring at this creepy ass fucking chair that is just sitting in the corner. And there's some jump scares there. There's some loud noises. And so it's like, okay, you know, well, you shouldn't have played with the Ouija board. So
we do find out that the old man he's an old man who lived and died in the house.
Mm-hmm. Why they didn't get rid of the chair, I don't fucking know, but you know, whatever, neither here nor there. And we'll get into it a little later, but I don't think they ever got rid of the chair.
No.
But
I don't think they did either.
Basically, and this guy Bill Wilkins, I believe is his name, is the entity that she is speaking to. And what I'm going to do is, I guess we'll talk about what's happening at their house, and then we'll bump over to the Warrens. But basically, Janet, she's like Chris said, she starts sleepwalking. She's talking to this entity. She even starts taking on his voice a little bit. She's like, "It's my house," da, da, da. And the jump scares that happen here, the jump scare I'm about to talk about is one that I legit almost shit my pants in the theater. So she stays home from school because obviously like she hasn't been feeling well. And it's a rainy day. She's watching TV. We've all been there, especially if you're our age. You go home, you watch The Price is Right or whatever. And
come on down.
The TV keeps turning off on her, and she doesn't have the remote. And one time she gets close to the TV, it turns off, and it's one of those old ass TVs, the box TVs, so you can see like the mirror image behind you, and it shows just a figure sitting in the chair. That's not what I shit my pants on. I was kind of expecting something like that, and then the TV turns off again, and she's just kind of looking, and out of fucking nowhere, there's Bill Wilkins' face going, "My house, my house." And I think I was leaning in close to the TV because I felt like, what is she looking at? You know how you do that? You're kind of leaning in like this, like what is going to happen? And then yes, that happens. And I was like, and then I shit my fucking pants on that one. And there's another scene that happens here where she is in. I'm jumping around on the storyline here. I'll stop that. I'll go back to that one. But then we're going to go back over to the U.S. and the Warrens. And you're like, oh, what's going on there? Lorraine's been having these nightmares about our nun to the point where, again, I'm not sure why this is a thing, but she is painting a very realistic picture of the nun at the breakfast table. And Ed comes, or no, Ed's painting it actually. Ed's like, oh, yeah. I saw this in my dream. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I just needed to draw it. I'm like, the fuck you doing, Ed? And actually a fun Easter egg in this scene. And a fun Easter egg in this scene is that there's actually letters on the pots that are in the windowsill that actually spell out this entity's name, because if you know its name, you have power over it. Yeah, dominion. Yep. But this scene is one of my favorites in horror movie history. And it's the scene that we alluded to. Yeah, crazy. I know. So basically, Lorraine feels this presence in the house, and there's this creepy, choir singing. Yeah, she kind of hears. So she walks and she sees Judy just looking terrified, and like we said, and it's in the intro, Judy goes, "Who's that?" Look down the hallway. There's the nun just standing there, menacing right at the camera. Yep, and then starts walking very slowly off camera. So they follow the nun, and which is the last thing you should do, by the way. No, yeah. It gets to the room where Ed has hung up the photo, and the lights are off, and she kind of does off on type thing, and is so creepy because it looks like the nun's just standing there when the lights are off. There's a little crappy CGI here, but she sees the shadow of the nun walking on the wall towards the picture, and it's so creepy. And then you suddenly see two hands go around the picture behind it, and then the nun jumps through it and basically like screams at her. Again, some shitty CGI, but just the way that scene unfolds is just fantastic. And she's just like, who the hell is this? Who the hell is this bitch? That's in my house. So that's what's going on with them. And I believe it's their buddy with the church that kind of is like, hey, there's this family in England that really needs your help. And it's they started getting the news stations involved over there, and obviously people think that it's a hoax. And actually, the way the Warrens are brought into this is they have a recording of Janet, which they also used in the trailers, but it's just a voice, and they're just like, my name is Bill Wilkins, and I'm 74 years old. And they're like, that came out of a 12-year-old girl. And from here, shit gets really real, because then the Warrens show up, and if you want to take it from here, specifically what I'm thinking about is when they do the live on-air interview with Janet and Mr. Bill. And I'll mention too, if you guys remember, one thing. So we kind of alluded to it earlier, but when Lorraine had the vision back at the Amityville house, not only did she have the vision of the nun, she had a vision of Ed's death, and he wasn't an old man. He like she had a vision of him being impaled. He gets fucked up. Really bad, really kills him. And that's kind of what she saw that really, really shook her to her core. And as they're progressing through the movie, Lorraine's really kind of fearful of this. She's like, hey,
I saw your death. I saw Ed's death. I'm pretty fearful, and I'm becoming more scared as this thing is progressing that that's going to become a reality. And again, she has another vision of the demonic nun. And I will say, I can't remember if this was before they went across the pond or after they went across the pond, when she was having one of her visions, she actually scratched a name into her Bible. She was in a trance.
Right.
She was seeing something, and she just scratched a name into her Bible. You can't really read it at the time. It comes into play a little bit later. But she scratched this name into the Bible. It doesn't show you, but she sees it. So anyway, they're across the pond. They've been summoned over there. They're staying at the Hodgson residence. And one of the other things they're doing too is they're actually consulting with paranormal investigators that are already over there. So like you said, Ryan, people are already like, this is kind of a hoax. There's not much going on here. This case isn't legitimate. One of the other things they do, and I'm going to let you allude to this a little bit more because I can't remember the specific beats of that interview. It's more out there in the ether for me. So talk about it for me, and then I'll take back over because I need to rewatch the movie, I should say.
So Ed has this idea of like, hey, we're going to get this demon to come out of her, but we're going to do it on TV so that people know that this is legitimate. And his idea is that he is going to have Janet take a drink of water and keep it in her mouth, so that her mouth cannot move, so that if the entity comes out and talks, everybody knows that it is not Janet.
Yes,
and
I remember.
Yep. And so Ed promises to look away, but the camera is, and I'm talking about the movie camera, not the TV cameras. The camera is, it's kind of a distorted perspective because you can see Ed, and in the background, it's kind of blurry. So you see Janet, and she slowly morphs into Bill, and you can kind of see his mouth move because Bill starts talking. He's like, "This is my house.
Why don't you just leave these people alone?"
Because this is my house.
And, Ed's like, holds up a crucifix, and Bill's like, "Aah!" And they have this really creepy interaction, and you can just see it behind him the whole time. Again, shit behind Patrick Wilson. I didn't realize it was a thing until we started talking. Yeah, but it's a fucking
We're going to make a meme. We're going to make a meme. Turn around, yep. Patrick.
Maybe that should be our logo. Maybe we should be behind Patrick Wilson.
Can I say real quick as a quick offbeat, and I'm really sorry to go on a tangent here, but I have to mention because this is relevant. One of the things in the movie Scream, the first one, that I never noticed before that is meta, if you remember when Randy Meeks is watching Halloween, played by Jamie Kennedy. He's saying, "Turn around, Jamie. Jamie, turn around." And Ghostface is creeping behind him with the knife. I never noticed that before recently when I watched it. So I just needed to put that in there because you were talking about turn around, Patrick. And that kind of popped up.
Well, and then in Scream 5, they have his niece, Misty, that's watching her uncle, and the same thing is happening to itself.
Turn around.
He's talking about Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's Jamie Kennedy that's
Jamie, turn around. Jamie, turn around.
What are you doing, Jamie?
Turn around.
Like, who watches a movie? I know he's drunk off his ass, but who watches a movie like that? But anyway, that's great aside. I'll talk about that all day. I love it. But so this whole interview goes on, and again, nobody can actually watch it because the spirit won't come out if people are watching it. But you, as the audience, can see it. You know this is legit. Obviously, you're watching The Conjuring too. The interview ends. Patrick Wilson turns around, and there's Janet, and she spits the water out. She kept the water in the whole time, and they have the recording of it. And this is absolutely legitimate, but it's still getting picked apart by these skeptics because they're like, look, everybody was turned around. She could easily spit out the water, nobody looking, talked, and then taken another drink and doing that.
And there's another piece that happens. Yeah, there's another piece that happens too, is they actually come across some video footage of Janet destroying the kitchen, saying that the demon did this, but they have the footage of her doing it.
Yeah, they walk into the room, and obviously the kitchen is destroyed. You're like, holy fuck, this demon fucked this up. And they do have, like you said, they had the proof on video, so kind of wraps everything up there.
This isn't discredited.
Well, and before that, just when the family's going through this turmoil, this is a scene that I think it's widely divisive, but I personally love it. It's kind of awkward when you think about it, but they're and the thing that Patrick Wilson always does is he always cooks meals for these families that he's with because he wants to give them a semblance of normalcy. He's just a great dude.
Yeah, he is a really great guy.
Yeah. Don't know if he was like that in real life, but in the movie, like he truly just wants these families to feel like a family and to get some normal life. So he gets a guitar and he starts singing Elvis, and the whole family and it's such a weird feeling because it's this part in this horror movie that you're watching, this really intense horror movie, and it's like, even as the audience, you're like, okay, I can take a breather and just, listen to some Elvis. And I think the first time I saw it, I wasn't crazy about, but on rewatches, I'm like, you know what? That's a cool scene. I dig that.
Good beat. It's a good beat.
So obviously the family's becoming attached to them and they're becoming attached to the family. So Ed and Lorraine, they're just like, there's nothing more we can do. She was caught on camera doing this. Come to find out, it was basically the Bill Wilkins saying, hey, you got to go do this and get all these people out of the fucking house. You come to find out that Mr. Bill Wilkins, like you said, he just died in the house. He truly just wants to be in his house. He's not malevolent. He's not a bad guy. He is kind of having the strings pulled by our resident nun, which Lorraine figures this out. But she's like, I don't know its name. You need its name to have power over it. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so they end up going back to the house. There's this chase scene. They're just like everywhere they when they try to leave, they're always pulled back. They're just like, fuck, no, go back. Let's go.
Well, and one of the big things is when they do come back there, they see Janet at the window ready to jump and commit suicide.
Oh, and fuck, how did I miss this? Sorry, I keep forgetting about stuff about this movie because there's so much in this.
There's a lot packed into this one.
So one of the scares earlier on in the movie is the little boy that's in the house. He's playing with his fire truck. And you actually see the Crooked Man toy that's going off, and you actually literally see the Crooked Man leave it. Like he just
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, and he comes in 2 times. So this is the first time. So the fire truck goes into, and it's not remote controlled, but it's one that like self propels, whatever, goes into the dark tent in the middle of the night, and comes back out from an unseen force. You're like, oh fuck, oh no, what's in there? This kid goes into the teepee, and I can't remember if he has a light or something, but here comes the Crooked Man's face, and all you see is like his teeth, and he's like, run. The yell that he does is so fucking creepy. That's the first Crooked Man instance. The second one, on the first watch, I didn't like it. Once you kind of look into it more further, you're like, holy crap, they did that. Basically they go and stay at their neighbor's house because they think that's going to help. And obviously if you're watching this movie, you know, it doesn't help. The Crooked Man, actually, I think he takes form of the dog and transforms into the Crooked Man. And it looks like this weird CGI monster type thing. It was played by a real fucking dude. And there was no CGI whatsoever. He just moves really creepy. So looking back on it, so he does a scare there. They actually were going to make a Crooked Man movie, but it got stuck in production hell.
And that would have been the scariest one of them all. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, I thought that about the Nun too. And, you know, we'll get into that next week. But,
we'll get into that next week.
But yeah, so that's just stuff that little scares that happened earlier in the movie that just, you know, this movie is intense. Like if I had a heart rate monitor when I was watching this movie for the first time, it'd be off the fucking charts.
It's a hell of a sequel.
So basically Lorraine comes back and she's going to confront this demon, this nun. And they have a drag it out battle. And Ed is, cause it's like the laundry room floods or something.
Yeah. And he runs upstairs to grab Janet. She's at the window.
Right. And this is basically where she saw him getting impaled.
Because the lightning hits the tree in the yard, cracks the tree, and it creates the stump that she saw him being impaled on. So she's realizing that all this vision is coming to fruition and Ed's going to die.
Yep. And she's got to stop this demon before it can happen. And she remembers in the back of her mind, she's like, wait a minute. I've seen you before. I know your name. And then that's where, as you allude to, when she's scribbling down her Bible, and his name is
Valak.
Badass name. And this is where you can see the Valak on the windowsill after you've watched the movie. And she has her own badass scene where she's like, I know your name, I have dominion over you. And this is where like the nun has like these really like vampire-esque teeth and claws and all
it's
that.
Really, they kind of lean into that part more than just the presence of her, which was scary enough.
That was scarier. Yeah. When it was just, you didn't know what was around it. But she vanquishes Valak, our guy Valak, but it won't be the only time you see Valak. I mean, today it will be, but not next week. You'll see more.
Next week we'll talk more about Valak.
Yeah. But man, like in this one, what a fucking sequel! My God.
And we should say, with Janet being free of Valak's possession, Lorraine pulls both her and Ed to safety, thereby saving him from the vision that she had of his death.
Yeah, because I mean, there's 2 more movies after this, so you know.
And they take the Crooked Man thing, the Crooked Man toy, back to New England with them, and they put it in their room of demonic artifacts next to the music box from the first movie and next to Annabelle.
And in every movie, they have a little hint of Annabelle because, and the funny thing about Annabelle,
the thoroughfare of all of it.
Yeah, the doll of Annabelle in the movie is creepy as shit. The real Annabelle is Raggedy Ann.
Raggedy Ann doll, isn't it? Yeah, Raggedy Ann.
But it did get, I think they were taking it on tour, and I was like, why the fuck are you doing that? That's
another horror movie in itself. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing
like, and then a conspiracy theory happened. They're like, it went missing, and there's like all these unexplained deaths in this area, and I'm just like, don't fuck with it. Why
Stay away from Denver. Do not bring that shit to Denver. I don't want it.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, so you get that movie, and it's about as perfect as a sequel can be.
It's really damn good, man.
Like, I don't know where our final rankings are going to land, but these are 2 powerhouses right here. Then
swinging hard out of the gate.
Yep, and then I'm not going to pull any punches here. You get the atrocity that is, at least my opinion.
Tell me how you really feel, buddy.
Well, so they took a long hiatus, and they're like, the Conjuring 3 is greenlit, but director, writer, all new.
Well, and I will say this too, that I think hurt it was this was one that did during, you guys remember how crazy COVID was. Like anything made, all the movies made during COVID, like suffered from not being in a theater. They suffered from the way that they had to shoot it. They suffered from writers not really working on it the way they did previous movies. So this one came out 2021, which means the bulk of production was 2020 during COVID. And I think this was one that, number one, it was delayed. And then when it came out, it was released like immediately to streaming. Right?
Yeah.
It was immediately on HBO. Yep.
And so I mean, I tried to do my best because I watched it at home. I think we even got a sitter for the kids that night, and we're just like, okay, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna watch this because you hadn't been to movies in a while, so it's like we try and organically make that manufacture it. So we made popcorn. And I was just like I get it. It wasn't going to be as good as the first 2. I thought it had potential, but I left going, why?
Yeah.
But I probably won't spend a ton of time on this one. But sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to give you a little bit of backstory to this one. So in the second one, we talked about the DeFeo murders, which were again a true life thing. This one is unique, and if you guys have seen the movie A Haunting in Connecticut, this is another. That case is what the Warrens are. That's what this one's also about, because true to life, what happened and what we'll talk about also as we get into the movie was a man he killed his landlord. He stabbed his landlord 22 times, killed him. And when he was put on trial for murder, his defense team, their defense was it was a case of demonic possession. Like that was literally the defense of the court. They're like, this is how we're going to defend him. He was possessed. And it was the first murder trial in America where demonic possession was claimed as defense. So the backstory of it is pretty interesting. You can actually dig into the true case and, read about the murder, read about the defense case, all of that stuff. That's ultimately what this movie is kind of about. It's kind of the backstory for it. So I'm happy to jump into this one. I know it's definitely not one of your favorites.
Yeah. I mean, and I did like the story setup because I do like it when, and these movies, they all have some basis in history and reality. Yeah. What I will say though,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like with this one and kind of how they went away from the DeFeo thing, it's like, are they trying to defend a murderer here?
Right.
The filmmakers, I just felt kind of icky with it. But that was my thought on it. But go for it.
I was going to kind of add in, I think horror is that you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, but we've talked about why we love, found footage and what kind of horror is super effective. For me, the ones that leave real life unexplained events, ambiguous events, when they tell a deeper story and they keep it somewhat ambiguous, that to me is like really effective horror as well. Because when you take something that actually happened, you put a paranormal or some kind of horrific spin on it to make it, horrifying. That's super effective. And I think in this case, we can certainly argue about the effectiveness of this particular movie. But the case itself, if you guys want to dig into the 1981 Connecticut demonic murder. There's a lot to find out. It's really cool. It's hard for me to say yay or nay. I don't really, even as a man of faith, I'm not a huge believer that demonic possession and it's still active today. And I'm not saying it's not. It's just I've got to see it to believe it, sort of thing. And everything kind of has a rational explanation, so I'm pretty skeptical. But
you read from the Necronomicon, and we're both still here.
So, You had a hell of a week that week, though.
I did. Yeah, I was terrified that week. If you guys haven't listened to our Evil Dead episode, go listen to that because
check it out.
Homeboy over here tries to hex me,
and then you got sick, and then the kids got sick. And
I was just like, luckily, no, I didn't run into any trees, if you know what I mean. So that's good.
No deadites. No
deadites. But yeah, this one. And it was more just looking at it from a movie perspective and just how much of a banger 1 and 2 were.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about these movies, each one, what they do really cool with the end credits is they actually show the real pictures from the real cases and the real people, and a lot of it. And I actually went back on the Conjuring 2, the Enfield Poltergeist, and on YouTube, you guys can look it up. They actually have like the police interview, and they actually do like shot for shot, like it's really fucking well done. Obviously it didn't win any awards or anything, but I think it could have been in that vein. It was really good. It's a period piece, technically. But yeah, this one we can get into it. It is The Devil Made Me Do It, which Conjuring and Conjuring 2 are the only ones that have like the actual like number with it, because then we get into Last Rites. So Devil Made Me Do It. Take it away, Mr. Snow.
Absolutely. So we're, of course, talking about the famous Brookfield, Connecticut murder, the first American murder trial where demonic possession was claimed as defense. So we're fast forwarding a little bit. We're in 1981.
I thought it was 81, yeah.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. And Ed and Lorraine are documenting the exorcism of an 8-year-old kid. His name's David. Fun last name, Glatzel. Interestingly enough, I feel like a lot of the paranormal murders in American history, interesting last names, Glatzel, Perrin, what was the DeFeo, But anyway, they're documenting this exorcism. His family's, the kid's family is there, his older sister, Debbie, and this is key, Debbie's boyfriend, Arn Johnson. Arn Johnson. And of course, Father Gordon, the priest in the first one.
He's not a doctor. He's not Dr. Gordon.
Did I say doctor?
No. I was just doing a random Saw.
From Saw.
You didn't fuck up. I'm just fucking you up. So
I see what you did there. So in an attempt to save this kid, because the exorcism is proceeding, Debbie's boyfriend Arn actually invites the demon to enter his body instead of the little boy David. He's like, come into me instead. Ed witnesses this happen. He sees it out of the corner because, everything's happening during the exorcism. Ed sees it happen. And the moment he does, he suffers a heart attack. Ed notoriously has a bad heart, particularly in these last 2 movies.
Especially when he gets impaled in a dream.
Especially when he gets impaled in a dream. That'll do it. It is what actually ended up killing Ed Warren. Is his heart failure, but yeah, he has a heart attack right as the demon kind of goes in. So it kind of caused him to doubt a little bit what he actually saw. But the next month, he's out for a minute. He wakes up in a hospital, and he does say, he's like, I saw that demon, the demon that we got that was out of the little kid David. I saw it go into Arn. And then Arn, we're following. I mentioned this earlier as we were doing the prelude to this movie. Arn hallucinates a demonic entity attacking him. And in defense, during this entity attack, he stabs the entity 22 times. But of course, the entity is actually his landlord, and murders him, kills him, 22 stabbings. Of course, there's no one else around to witness it, so it's just his word saying, I was possessed. It wasn't me. So the Warrens, they're kind of considering the acquittal of another murderer in England, fancy enough, named Michael, who also, and again, we're talking about the first murder case in America. There was a murder case in England in 1974 where someone named Michael Taylor was also acquitted and used the defense, I was possessed. It was demonic possession. So they are involving themselves in this trial. They want to kind of see what's going on. Again, Ed believes that Arn is possessed. He believes he saw a demon go into. He's kind of questioning that. But all this to say, the Warrens, in investigating all this, they do discover a witch's totem in the home of the Glatzels, where they did the exorcism on the kid. It's through that totem, similar to the Crooked Man thing and the music box in the first one and the Annabelle doll. It's through that totem through which a satanic curse is going. So a former priest they kind of talk to him, and he tells them that an occultist has intentionally left the totem in that house, and that's what resulted in a curse on the Glatzel family, and particularly David, who was possessed in the beginning of the movie. So the Warrens received notice that detectives from Massachusetts also found a similar totem in a similar death, where a woman was also stabbed 22 times. So there's a link there. So they go out to Massachusetts. They take a look. They find out that this totem was found at the home of the dead girl, the girl who's murdered Katie, her friend Jessica, who's missing. They don't know where Jessica is. Lorraine learns, again, you guys remember that Lorraine's a clairvoyant. She realizes through a vision, Jessica did murder Katie while she was possessed, and then she jumped to her death. So seeing where she jumped to her death, that allows the detectives to go and search the bottom where she would have landed, and sure enough, they find her body. So Lorraine also witnesses the occultist attempting to make Arn kill himself, but they stop that from happening, and that causes the occultist to become aware of the Warren's presence. So Lorraine, her vision, sees it happening, stops it, and the occultists realize, oh, we're being watched. We're being kind of observed. It's the cult of the Ram, I believe. The disciples of the Ram, I think, is what
which that plays into, which we'll get into more next week. But the Ram is a very prevalent force in some of the spin-off movies.
Yeah, particularly Annabelle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So again, the Warrens are kind of convinced, like, yeah, Arn is probably possessed. How would you prove his innocence? They do find a book. I can't even remember what kind of witchcraft, but it's just a book of witchcraft. And it basically gives
do not open the Necronomicon.
Exactly. Don't open. Don't read from this. None of this is going to come to a good end. But it states that for the curse to be lifted, the altar, the occultist altar, wherever they worship, wherever they do their demonic rituals, would have to be destroyed. Now, this is where Ed himself is actually affected by the curse when a totem is discovered in the Warrens' house. So when he's affected, he almost stabs Lorraine, but thankfully their assistant Drew, who we talked about in the first movie, who kind of helps him out, Drew's able to stop him. And then the priest that they were talking to that told him about the cult, he tells them again that the occult, he kind of left something out. The occultist is in fact his daughter, Isla. And he secretly raised her because, as you guys know, Catholic priests aren't allowed to have children. They have clerical celibacy in the Catholic Church. So he raised her in secret. And as he would research the occult, his daughter grew fascinated with it. And rather than follow in his footsteps, become a person of God, she decided to become an occultist. So the priest leads Lorraine into the tunnels that are underneath, I should say tunnels, kind of like, the crawl spaces, I should say, beneath the house where the altar is. But Isla kills her father, the priest, and then she curses both Ed and Arn, and that causes, again, Ed to try to kill Lorraine and for Arn to try to kill himself. So thankfully, as we approach the climax here, again, I agree with you, more of a weak climax, but Ed regains his senses. Lorraine kind of reminds him, hey, I love you, similar to how she did with Carolyn. She reaches that point in him, the human point in him that's left. I love you. I'm your wife. our love is strong, blah, 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 blah. And instead of killing her, they're able to destroy the altar, which, number one, saves Arn. It releases him from his possession. And, of course, releases Ed from his possession as well. And then Isla, ironically, is killed by the demon that she had summoned because she failed to complete the curse. She failed to pass on the possession to the next person, so the demon actually kills her instead. So,
fuck around, find out.
Fuck around, find out. Exactly right. So, again, in a similar theme, Ed takes the cup that was on the altar and he places it in the artifact room. And you can see he places it next to the Valak painting that he made in the second movie and the Annabelle doll. And if you guys are curious, Arn is convicted, just not of murder. He's convicted of manslaughter, and he serves I think he served 5 years, and then he was free.
I accidentally stabbed somebody 22 times. Sorry.
Yeah, the devil made me do it.
Hey, yeah, there you go. Yeah, and out of all the movies, this is definitely the weakest one. But I will go back to the Ed and Lorraine, relationship, because that's one thing that these movies do really well. Is
they are loving husband and wife.
Yes, it is a love story. You can tell how much they love each other, and I believe in this one. I tried to take this one out of my memory, but I believe the way they get Ed back is because it was their first date or something, and it was raining.
It reminds him of
and she came under his umbrella and was like, she never left. So it's
adorable.
It is adorable. It's so sweet. It's so cute in all these, and he sings Elvis in other movies. But yeah, they're just like they're 1000% for each other, which this movie does a great job. And obviously, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson have that chemistry, so it works out. So then from here, word came down that it was going to be Conjuring Last Rites. This is the case that ended it all, which I always get a little scared when it's like, oh God, like are they jumping the shark on this one again? Like, I didn't have a great feeling on the last one, but this one, we're finally, I forget how many years after The Devil Made Me Do It. It was 5 because it came out in 2025, right?
Yeah, and then Devil Made Me Do It was 2021, so about 4 years.
Yeah. So we get back, and as I alluded to earlier, this movie has a heavy focus on Judy, the daughter. Which was a welcome surprise. It was because where else can they go on this? Like, we made the jokes of their shitty parents, this and that. But she is in college, I believe, in this one. And this one starts out, and it has young Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they are working on a case, and it's a case of a possessed mirror, which is already creepy and
Lorraine's very pregnant.
Yes, super, like about to pop pregnant. Or maybe she's like 7 months, like she's not like ready to pop, but she clearly is pregnant. Basically, she goes and she looks at this mirror, and she is attacked to the point that they actually lose their baby for about 30 seconds or so, because they rush to the hospital. The baby is dead. The baby is gone. And then, of course, in cheesy movie fashion,
she's stillborn. Yeah.
Stillborn. Yeah. Not crying. And then all of a sudden takes a breath and starts crying. And it's like Jon Snow when he comes back to life and he's just,
well, and remember, it's Lorraine just relies on her faith. She prays over the baby,
yep.
Relies on all those pieces. And yeah, to your point, baby takes a breath.
Yep. And, that baby turns out to be Judy, and which they never really got into any of that. So you're just like, okay. So in my mind it's like, well, if you had that big of a scare, why would you leave her fucking alone with Annabelle? But whatever. So they end up.
Nothing can hurt you now.
Yeah, nothing can hurt you. Yeah, you're invincible. Good job.
You die. What's the worst that could happen?
So we end up meeting, I believe they're in Pittsburgh, the new family that is going to be tortured in this movie.
And again, a fantastic last name.
I don't even remember the last name.
The Smurls.
The Smurls, that's right. It's Smurfy Smurls.
Smurfy Smurls.
Again, this household is fucking filled too. So apparently demons like full households. So if you have a big household, if your aunts and uncles and cousins are living with you, kick their ass out because you're next. This house has two sisters, three sisters,
Four daughters.
And two are very close in age, and they fight. They do all this. There's the mom, the dad. There is, I believe,
their parents.
Yeah, their parents live there. So it is a full house. The dad works all the time, but again, they seem like a pretty happy family. The main daughter, she's having is it her?
It's her confirmation.
Confirmation, that's right. So if you're giving a gift for anything, if you're doing a confirmation, if you're doing a quinceanera, if you're doing a birthday, sweet 16, anything, don't gift a fucking mirror.
And by the way, it's the same mirror from the introduction that Ed and Lorraine were investigating that caused Lorraine to go into her early labor.
Exactly.
We're 22 years later now.
Yes. And this mirror, and I'll put a picture of it here, but this mirror, it's not just like a pretty, random mirror. It has like weird babies on top of it. Like it's creepy as fuck, even if you're not watching a horror movie. So this mirror comes into contact with this family. And actually, while they're at the celebration that night, the chandelier falls just out of nowhere. And so you're like, oh,
barely
fuck,
misses Heather.
Yep. Barely misses her. And actually earlier in the movie, the mom is talking on a phone and the cord goes into the pantry and the kids are kind of hiding in there and they're pulling it. And, you're like, I wonder if that's going to come back into play later. Spoiler alert. It does in a very cool sequence. So you're like, oh, I wonder if it has to do anything with the mirror. And before that, when she's actually blowing out her candle on her cake, it almost because they're filming it too, so there's a little bit of a found footage thing here. Something else blows out the candle, not her, and she thinks it's her sister, and she's like, "Why'd you blow out the candle? Come on!" And you, as the audience, you're like, "Oh snap! There was someone behind her blowing out the candle." It's fucking great. Demonic stuff starts happening. The mom, it starts happening to every single one in the family except the dad. Ironically, so
demons seem to like the girls.
Yeah. It's a weird, not a weird entity here, but the mom, she is talking on the phone. It's broad daylight. The Conjuring movies love to do these things in the broad daylight. Insidious does it as well. So you think you're safe as an audience member? You're not.
Nope.
She is talking on the phone and she turns off the pantry light. You see her go into the pantry. She turns off the light. She's talking on the phone and the cord starts pulling back. And she's like, okay, kids, don't do that. Don't do that. Kids are upstairs running around. And they're like, are you talking to us, Mom? She's like, what the hell?
Who is pulling the cord?
Walks in there and terrifying stuff. Just household objects. That, believe it or not, kids, if you're listening to the show, phones used to have a long ass cord on it that
Yep.
you could walk around half the house talking to people on it.
Portable. If you had a portable phone, that means you must be rich.
Yep. And it was like you pull out the antenna, you drop the phone down.
And then the battery dies right in the middle when you're trying to talk to the girl you're flirting with.
Yep. Or did you ever have when you had to call your crush's number and their like mom answered and you're like, hi.
Of course. It was kids. Those of you listening that are under the age of about 25 maybe, you'd have to call your crush's house, their house phone, because we didn't have cell phones at the time. One of their parents would pick up. God forbid it was her father. And you have to be like, is Tanya there?
Hi, is so-and-so there? This is Jennifer from history.
And I have done that more than once.
Oh, dude, it was terrifying. And also, once you finally got on the phone with whoever you wanted to talk to, any other phone in that house could pick up and listen to your conversation.
Pick up and hear it happening. My sisters, I had two older sisters. They would always listen into the conversations. That was a horror movie in itself. We should make a horror movie called Late 90s, and it had all these tropes.
Yeah, terrifying stuff. Maybe even more terrifying than a demonic entity pulling a cord through a pantry. But neither here nor there. We also get to we meet Judy. She's in college, and she's been having some troubles.
On that note, too, we should also say that as we meet Judy, we also come to learn that the Warrens have kind of retired from investigations because Ed's heart isn't really doing that well.
Yeah, they're like, fuck that. We're not doing it. So they will still do like their seminars and their lectures. And it's actually kind of funny because they do a lecture at Judy's school. And so they do their whole shtick from the first movie. But in the first movie, they turn on the lights and it's a full auditorium. This one, they turn on the lights and there's like 12 people in there. Yeah, there's no one in there. Yeah. Some kids crack some jokes. And so they end up having dinner with Judy that night. And Judy and her mom kind of have this unspoken understanding. They both kind of I'm not going to say Judy is a clairvoyant yet, but they come from the same cloth in that sense.
Yeah. She's becoming kind of sensitive to psychic visions. Say.
They are at dinner, and they showed this in the trailer, but it's still creepy when you saw it. And this time it's not behind Patrick Wilson, ironically, but behind his daughter. Lorraine looks at her, and there's just this creepy hand just on her shoulder and floats back and kind of startles Lorraine there. So you're kind of like, all right, we're back in the territory of the OG Conjurings here. This is how it made me feel with those. And so Judy doesn't really know what's going on. There's a side story about how he's been dating this guy, and like Patrick Wilson is just like, oh, should I kill him?
Dating Tony.
Yeah, Big Tony. Tony. Mickey Altieri. Yeah.
Hey, call Tony.
Yeah,
Tony, bring me some vinegar peppers. Gabagool. Vinegar peppers.
Which I actually really liked his character. I thought he was. He's a good guy. First of all, he's good enough for our Judy. He's good enough for her. Because you can imagine him. He goes to meet the Warrens, and
this poor bastard.
And
this is my mom and dad's artifact room.
Yeah, don't touch anything because you might get possessed. And so it is actually it's pretty funny because like my wife's dad was a cop and he was a detective, and I was like, I never want to meet this guy because he's gonna shoot me. And shout out Dave, love you. But it was so he goes and meets them, and obviously Ed puts on the tough dad face, and like, I don't want to mess with any of these guys. They have a fun little like table tennis scene where they actually start bonding, and they actually do it really well as a side story here. Yeah, Tony. Hey. Give me a nickel. I'll pronounce something funny.
Gabagool and the vinegar peppers with provolone.
Philadelphia. So yeah, he proposes. She says yes. The parents say yes. It's this really cute, kind of interesting scene. But there's a scene where Judy is trying on a wedding dress, and she is in you guys have probably seen it, but the room with a million mirrors around. And if you want to take it from here and say what happens to her in this bad play.
And I want to jump back a little bit and preface this because going back to the girls at the house, the Smurl family, Heather and Dawn, they actually try to get rid of the mirror because they realize that something is happening with it, and they are basically being terrorized by what they see as an elderly woman, a young woman, and then a guy with an axe, big old guy with an axe. And they actually share that story with the press, hoping that someone can help them, which attracts the interest of one Father Gordon, not Dr. Gordon, Father Gordon.
Not Dr. Gordon. And yeah, Gordon. A guy with an axe. No one has a shovel in these goddamn movies.
Carry shovels. Have a shovel, people. This is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So Tony has proposed to Judy. They're going to get married. It's fantastic. He proposes at Ed's birthday party. And then, of course, yes, she's trying on the dress. And similar to all of the other, all of the other films, particularly in this one, they did it in kind of a cool way, being surrounded by all the mirrors. Ryan, what do you think she sees in these mirrors?
I think she sees her future. I think she sees maybe Pennywise. Maybe she doesn't see a shovel.
Certainly doesn't see a shovel. As we know, people don't have shovels.
Nope. She sees herself.
What does she look like, Ryan?
Mm-hmm. She looks like crap.
This is an understatement. Understatement of the year. Yes, she sees her future. She sees a reflection of herself. I was kind of expecting her to see the nun, our very own nun.
I would have jumped out of my seat. Would have loved that.
But yes, she comes to realize that we mentioned earlier that she might be a little sensitive to some of her psychic visions, with which her mother Lorraine, rather than encouraging her, actually says, "Hey, you should shut yourself off to all of that. You don't want that as part of your life. That was your father and I's life. We want a different life for you." But again, during this dress drying ceremony, this dress, say yes to the dress kind of thing, she does have a vision of herself in the future, and it's not a good one. So you kind of get the impression that, even though she's trying to run and not be a part of this this destiny that her parent, maybe not destiny is not the word, maybe not be a part of this life that her parents lived as paranormal investigators and being sensitive to psychic events, perhaps something that she may not be able to avoid.
Right.
So this poor girl, being 22, 23 years old, it's kind of a heavy cross to bear.
Right. And I'll go back to when you're talking about how they get rid of the mirror, the two girls in the other house, because this is a cool scene. They take it down the stairs and they're like, the mirror is getting heavier. It's getting heavier because the mirror doesn't want to leave the house. Nope. They get it outside. They're able to put it out on the street, and they actually show the trash man picking it up the next day, and they actually show it being crushed into a million little pieces, which is all well and good until breakfast that morning. They're eating whatever, pancakes, waffles, whatever the fuck they're eating. And she starts eating, and then she starts puking up glass. Mm-hmm. This is like the reverse Bring Her Back. She starts puking up glass.
The poor family, they're having breakfast, trying to have pancakes, and they're puking up glass. And again, Dad, being skeptical, kind of has his own little paranormal experience. If you want to take on that one,
it's a very it's a very out of this world bedroom scene. He basically, you guys seen Scary Movie 2, gets levitated by a ghost, doesn't go as far as it does in Scary Movie 2.
Here comes Uncle Ray Ray.
Yeah. But anyway, so needless to say, he becomes a believer. Then Judy actually takes it upon herself. She thinks that, going back, Father Gordon says, I need to get help from the church. So he goes to get permission from the church. Yep. And it's a really cool scene too, because he's talking to the secretary, and then stuff starts going awry, and he's not really sure why. And it's like, oh shit, is a possession going to happen in this fucking building?
In the church.
Yep. And they show guys like waxing the hallways, and so there's a long cord there, and sure enough, our guy, not Dr. Gordon's going to need a doctor after this one. It looks like he offs himself with this cord, which obviously hits the family really hard. He was basically like an extended part of the family. So Judy takes it upon herself to kind of track down the last place he was kind of looking at. So she finds this family, and Tony wants to track her down, so gets the Warrens. They find out that they're in Pittsburgh. They go into this media circus, and you can imagine if you're in the media and you see the Warrens pop up, you're like, what the hell? They reluctantly decide to help. There's a cool scene when they actually start helping, and obviously Judy and Lorraine kind of hone in on their issues and their powers. But this entity, it wants Lorraine there. and it wants Judy there because it's been 20 years and it didn't get what it wanted because the mirror is back. It was smushed into a million fucking pieces, but it is back in the attic.
And true to form, our three spirits that we mentioned, the old lady, the younger lady, and the guy with the axe, are certainly three spirits, but again, true to form, they are just being controlled by another demon.
Right. And the mirror is basically the conduit for everything. If you couldn't tell already, it can distort voices. It can get you where it wants to go. It can literally make itself heavier so you cannot dispose of it, which Ed and Mr. Smurl try to later. And the mirror almost smushes Ed, and it does this weird, like, it stands on its own and it twirls around a million times. It's like fucking Shaun White doing a McTwist in a 1080, but it does its thing. And basically, I know I'm rushing through this, it seems, but basically, Lorraine says, Judy, use the force, do it. I know I told you to shut it down, but use it. It's part of you. It's who you are.
Embrace it. Yeah,
exactly. And it basically, like, the power of friendship is able to take down this mirror. And it isn't a really cool climax again because the mirror getting heavier and there's a lot of stuff going on. Tony almost dies. And at this point, you've come to really care about Tony because he also knows about the backstory of Judy and how she was stillborn and there was this miracle, and that's why they're very protective of her, even though they're never fucking with her in any other movie.
Leave her alone in the house with all the demon artifacts.
Right. And then Tony actually has he was a cop and he went to go arrest this guy, and he pulled out a gun and the gun jammed. It was fully loaded, and he kind of said, that was me starting my life. And so you do get some, even though it's one movie, you do get some depth to his character, which is pretty cool. Again, just like all the other movies, it is a pretty happy ending here.
They're able to destroy the mirror.
They destroy the mirror. Everybody gets out unscathed except for Father Gordon. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, poor father. The remains of the mirror are moved to the occult museum they have.
Yep, of course. Yep. And for those of you out there that don't know much about the spin-off movies, there is a movie that goes into the artifacts that we will dive into. But this has been a long episode, guys. But that is the Conjuring series as it stands now. Chris, what is your worst to best?
I get the feeling that it's going to be almost the same as yours.
Okay, I'm interested. Let's go.
Number 3 is at the bottom of the list.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it's a bad film, but it's definitely the weakest entry.
Yep.
Followed by number 4, not because there's anything wrong with it, but because the first 2 are so strong. And my ranking for 1 and 2 is exactly that. Well, sorry, the reverse of that. It's going to go 2-1. 2 is fantastic, but the original Conjuring is just so perfect in every measure that definitely stands at the top of the list for all 4 for me.
Okay, and I definitely feel you with 3 and 4 going in. Fourth place is 3 and third place is 4. Again, yeah, I don't think there's a bad movie. It's just when your expectations go high. This is where I'm flipping the script. I put Conjuring 1 at number 2 and Conjuring 2 at number 1.
Interesting.
My go-to to be scared shitless is Conjuring 2. That one, I don't know if it's just because my expectations were sky high and they went above them. But just between the Crooked Man and the Nun and the Amityville and just everything about it, and then the heart behind it. It's just, and I mean, it's probably a 1A, 1B type situation with Conjuring 2, Conjuring, but can't go wrong with either of those. Can't recommend these movies enough, guys. But with that, we do have a spot in the show where we do recommend movies. And so you want to go first or second on this bad boy?
Love to go first. I've actually been thinking about this weekend. I need to order a copy so I can rewatch it. I'm going with An American Werewolf in London. 19 to John Landis, the same guy who directed the Thriller music video. Fun fact, he was actually chosen to direct the Thriller music video because of how amazing American Werewolf in London is. If you guys aren't familiar with the story, 2 grad students backpacking through the moors in North England, and they're told to stay away from the moors and stick to the road, but of course they do not, and they are attacked by a werewolf. So one of them is killed, and the other is bitten but survives. and you can imagine what happens next. He goes on a bit of a rampage in the city of London as a new werewolf that comes out during the full moon. So the amazing thing about this film, guys, again, 1981, 1982, one of those years that it came out, the practical effects in this are all-timers. I mean, the camera films the actual transition into the werewolf, and they're practical effects that are happening. There's not a strip of CGI in it. So if you guys want to see how they really did horror, I talked Stan Winston, the same guy that did, Rick Baker. Excuse me, Rick Baker did this one. Similar to Stan Winston doing The Thing. You know, I tout the practical effects in that one. The practical effects in this one are even of a higher caliber. So American Werewolf in London. It's a horror comedy.
It is so fucking funny.
It is hilarious. There are some lines. His buddy who died is kind of trapped between life and death and appears to him a couple of times in various states of decay. But yes, it is a great, funny, scary, horrifying, sick movie. Check it out.
And the visual of turning into the werewolf, it is one that will stick with you.
Absolutely.
It is an absolute all-timer. I don't know how else to explain it. Definitely check it out. It's one of those movies that I'm sure they will remake at some point, but I hope they never do. Because
they made a sequel, American Werewolf in Paris. It was just kind of
I mean, but that's what you get sometimes. Awesome. So I'm going with a newer one, and it's all because I started thinking about Conjuring 4 and mirrors. So I'm going with one that kind of slapped me across the face that wasn't really on my radar, but it is Oculus.
Okay.
This one, it actually, fun fact, it is the first movie I ever saw at the Dine-In Southlands Theater, first movie I saw with the reclining chairs and you get the tray in front of you.
The wings coming out.
So I have a good association with it like that because I'm a fat ass. I love that. But this movie, I believe it was pretty early in the days of Blumhouse. But basically it's this brother and sister. And it kind of goes. It goes back and forth in timelines. They show back when they were kids and now them as adults. As kids, they were haunted by this mirror. As adults, they want to destroy the mirror. And they go through a bunch of different things. It is a mind fuck. Like they have a thing on a timer, and because the mirror will mess with your head. It'll make you think things are real that aren't, and things that aren't real that are real. I don't want to give much more away, but I recommend seeing it. God, who does it have in it? I can't remember her name, but it has the chick from Jumanji, the new Jumanjis. She's in it.
Karen Gillan.
There you go. Yeah, she's in it. So it's a few unknowns in this movie. It's a pretty small cast, but creepy mirrors, because mirrors in themselves could be kind of creepy in themselves. So definitely Oculus. This mirror eats dogs. You don't actually see it, but they're like the mirror ate our fucking dog. And it's so American Werewolf in Paris, and then Oculus. London. Paris, whatever.
Don't watch the Paris one.
Don't watch that one. Yeah, London, UK. We've been talking about UK tonight. We'll keep doing that. But guys, thank you for sticking with us on the hiatus there. Talk to us next week on our Wednesday episode, where we are going to do a true head-to-head ranking on the cinematic universe that is The Conjuring, just without The Conjuring. And then in 2 weeks, God help us, with the extreme horror. I do not want to research this, but we will, because we got to try and one up the previous episode. And then
I got some ideas.
And then Friday, we talked about a wedding dress. We're going to talk about another bride, The Bride, on Friday with Christian Bale, Mr. Batman. Anything you want to say about this movie before, or we just leave it all in?
We're just going to leave it open-ended. Come back and check us out on Friday.
Yep. If you guys, the Bride is out in theaters, go see it, and then come hear us talk about it on Friday. But until then, keep seeing scary movies. Go watch them in the theater. Go watch The Conjuring. Go watch American Werewolf in wherever the fuck across the pond, and Oculus. So take it easy, guys. We will see you later.
Later, folks.